This video is going to be a film study look at a very unique player for the Detroit Lions. Kalif Raymond has been in the NFL since 2016. I'm going to compare him in this video to a Detroit icon on the NBA basketball court. That is, do that a little bit later as we get to the film. Kalif Raymond now has 9 catches in the last 3 weeks, 2 touchdowns, including one that was a big one in a big situation on third down against the Vikings on the road last week. Against the Titans, in Detroit's 52-14 win on Sunday, he had 190 punt return yards, including a 90-yarder for a score. He leads the NFL in punt return yards at this point, 16.6 yards per return. Very unique player from the standpoint of he doesn't need a ton of touches or even to be on the field and then all of a sudden be integrated into the offense immediately and smoothly, almost like an NBA six-man who can come off the bench and give you 10 or 12 points in a quarter when perhaps the rest of the offense is struggling. Yes, I'm talking about Vinny Microwave Johnson. In case you don't know, if you're too young to remember who that is and you're a Lions fan, you should be ashamed of yourself. Vinny Johnson was the kind of guy that could come off the bench in a clutch situation, in fact, in the fourth quarter, and give his team an offensive option, in fact, be able to score against some really good basketball players, and as Detroit won 2 consecutive NBA championships. This play here is the first time when I almost made that comparison. This is a reverse in overtime. The only thing was after this game, this was the David Montgomery drive, obviously. He took over afterwards. I thought the Rams had done a nice job stopping the run to this point. This reverse really seemed to open them up. Raymond didn't have to do much other than take the reverse path, in this case get 12 yards that really, I thought, kick-started the overtime drive that Detroit was able to finish and take down and get a win in Week 1 at home. Last week on the road against the Vikings, Goff knows what coverage he's getting. You guys know if you watched my film study videos, I think that the Vikings can be had if you put them in man-to-man situations. More typical pass coverage options, man coverage, zone coverage, whereby they have to actually cover people or cover space. When they're allowed to be in their mug, sticks, blitz, zero looks, and drop out to zone, I think they're more effective. I think they can hide some of their weaknesses, which is covering in man-to-man. This is a 3rd and 9. We're in the 4th quarter, by the way. And this is Kalif Raymond, who at this point, where does he fit on the Lions hierarchy at receiver? 3rd, 4th, 5th, whatever, I really don't care. The point is, he can make plays when called upon. Again, hearkening back to that 6-man comparison. Little out against Gilmore. I talked about it last week in a couple of film study videos. Clean win for 13 yards. Goff, the fact that he trusts Kalif Raymond in this spot, not that Kalif Raymond isn't talented, but the fact that you can go so far down on the roster, on the offensive skill set roster, and get an output, a 3rd down conversion in this big a moment against what to that point was one of the top 2 or 3 defenses in the NFL speaks incredibly highly of the trust that Goff has and Ben Johnson as well, but the front office's job of putting a team together who can make plays in critical situations against good defenses. And finally, the touchdown on the drag where Jahmyr Gibbs is going to end up blocking right in this area here. Gilmore falls down, so credit to Kalif Raymond for making that happen, converting this into a 21-yard touchdown. Helps Detroit get the win on the road. This past week against the Titans, didn't necessarily need any of those heroics in the second half, but Kalif Raymond had an impact on offense and on special teams clearly. A little in-cut on a 3rd and 6, slant look almost really, I should say, and he's going to get grabbed. You can see there's a defensive pass interference called. It's pretty obvious. I believe it's on Brownlee. Only had 2 official targets. That would have been the 3rd one. This one he's going to go in motion across the field. It's a 3rd and 4. This, to me, is a pattern. You're seeing a lot of targets of Raymond on 3rd down. Why is that? Well, maybe the other team's best corner is on Amon-Ra St. Brown. The other team's second best corner is on Jamison Williams. Well, when he's playing, that is. Sam Laporta draws a lot of attention. Goff, to have Raymond around, again, a guy who's been in the league since 2016, and be able to trust him in these moments, that's a huge asset. It's not that other NFL teams don't have depth, don't get me wrong, but this is a guy who's reliable. I think he's 13 of 17 catches this year. So he went in motion, and now he's running an outcut here against Roger McCreary, who's a pretty good football player. It's a 3rd and 4. Yeah, that's 42-14 at this point. But even still, when you have starters on the field, this is one of the things we believed in when we were coaching for years, is when you have starters in, the play calls are generally going to be reflective of what they would be when the score wasn't 42-14, when it's 0-0 or 7-0 or 14-10. And Kalif Raymond gets a lot of his targets, a high percentage of his targets occur on third down. Goff trusts him. Same play, end zone angle. You can see how clean the win is. Very reminiscent, if you ask me, of the deeper out, the win against Stephon Gilmore on the 3rd and 9. Not the touchdown one, but the deep out from the slot position. He's just able to create separation horizontally. And I have to admit, I've been aware of his talents for a long time. He used to play on the Titans when they came to Baltimore after the 2019 regular season and shocked the Ravens, basically ending our Super Bowl bid when we had gone 14-2. Kalif Raymond had a huge touchdown in the second quarter. It was a designed play by their offensive staff to go up top on a play action concept early in the second quarter. Raymond burned us. I think we had a coverage mix-up, let's put it that way. But the point is, he's been a guy that's been used by NFL staffs for years. And for him to still have, he's 30 years old now, for him to still have, in actuality, a growing role on a Super Bowl contender, I think speaks really highly of his character, his dedication to his craft and the profession of being an NFL football player, wide receiver, and then now he's transitioned over to being a punt returner at a really, really high level. It's going to be his touchdown design play out of 12 personnel. So he's down at the bottom of the screen, going to motion across. And this return motion almost brings him back to the bottom side of the screen. And why does this get so open? Well, the outside corner for the Titans drops down to take St. Brown. And the slot or nickel corner is going to move across, theoretically, if Raymond was to go all the way across. Maybe they're thinking about a reverse. I suspect that the reverse hitting so big so many times early in the year has kind of caused teams some hesitation, or preparation, I should say. They've had to prepare for it. Look, that's the nickel defender. St. Brown drawing the corner, who was lined up over Raymond. Easy reception for 7 yards. Puts him up 49-14. The game is over at this point. Is a guy who's making plays in the NFL, even though he's not getting a high number of targets. I think that this is a unique story for any team. But it's what you have evidence of this all up and down this roster from Sunday's win over the Titans. Guys on offense and defense making plays. My second film study video of this week will be about Trevor Nowatzki and an interception. He's already got 2 sacks. Did look really bad on a boot concept where Mason Rudolph was able to score in the first quarter. But nonetheless, the roster, the way that they've configured the roster and built this team is giving Detroit more options than most teams have, even on third down. This is a 1st and goal from the 7 in the third quarter. You're already up big, but nonetheless, it's a play that Raymond made. It was almost generated for him by the design. All right, I'm going to talk about this punt return for a while. I believe it's a wall punt return. It's not a perfect wall from the standpoint of you'll be able to see it cleanly, but I'll stop this a couple of times and try to give you the information as I understand it. So it's 28-14 at this point. We're in the second quarter, halfway through the second quarter. And a pretty high arcing punt he's able to catch right around the -15, -14. Pay attention to these two guys here. I need a better video player is what I need so I can back this up and you can track them moving in reverse. It's really what you like to do when you examine punt returns or kick returns. So my apologies for the sloppy nature of how this is being done. From here, track these two guys. Look at their setup. And then you do have one player who fell down, their feet got tangled up. But look at the angle that these guys are taking. They're all trying to pin people to the inside. So what I'm saying is, this is designed to come back outside of this wall. Now, the wall can look neater. It's normally going to be separated by a certain amount of yards, but that also depends on the release of the guys that you're assigned to block. Raymond actually cuts it up inside the first defender. You normally want to try to take the ball to the wall. And so I will show this from the end zone angle so you can get an idea of what I mean by that. These two players here get through, and then they're going to loop around here, and everyone is trying to wall in the defenders. Everyone's trying to wall in the Titans players such that they can't do anything. And look, you've even got a double to the side of the wall. That's usually a giveaway, in my opinion, at the NFL level, not all levels of football, but at the NFL level, you normally got a double to the side where the wall is going to occur. Why? They want to control that piece right there. They want to control that guy and try to take him out of the play. If you weren't doubling there to get a wall accomplished, oftentimes you'd have a second returner who would lead you to the wall. So basically, take the ball to the wall is the saying that we would use. We ran a wall punt return for 30 years at the school that I coached at, and it didn't look exactly like this necessarily, but look, this game's played way faster, way more physical. So I'm giving you my best understanding, but look at the leverage for what guys have. These two guys kind of lagging back a little bit. Actually, I'm sorry. Jalen Reeves-Maben is the player who fell down that I had illustrated from the all-22 angle. So this is a wall punt return, in my opinion. I don't know if it's been broken down better. If it has, then feel free to let me know. Another thing, too, that I have to point out here is the hustle on this play by, I believe it's 57. He's inside of the wall. So what I mean by that is roughly the wall ends up being shaped something like this, where the Lions are trying to force everybody on this side of it. So he's inside of the wall. He should not be able to get there, but sometimes you have players that are unblocked. In this case, he is. If it weren't for his hustle, Raymond is gone. He'd have 2 punt returns for a touchdown in this game. Pretty unbelievable, if you ask me. I love the wall punt return. If you have more knowledge of it than I do, number one, or if you have awareness that someone else broke it down better than I did, feel free to link it up in the video in the comment section so other people can see it as well and be exposed to it. Really cool concept. The wall is a dangerous thing for the punting team because if we can run the wall to either side, and occasionally we would run it away from the side where we doubled, basically to give the opposing team something, another layer to worry about. At the NFL level, it's usually going to be run to the side where they're doubling one of the gunners. And in this case, with Raymond's agility, his speed, and his burst, along with the tenacity that the Lions players show on the field, whether it's offense, defense, or special teams, it's a perfect combination. Credit to the special teams coordinator. You don't see a wall too often. That's why I'm so excited to try to break it down a little bit for you guys. And again, if you have a better breakdown or someone who's gone into it in more detail, go ahead and let me know in the comment section. Feel free to post that link up. All right, his touchdown return. This is why I call it the new microwave, because he cannot touch the ball for long periods of time and then all of a sudden make a play. This is an example. Now, look, it's already 35-14. We're in the third quarter, early third quarter. In fact, it's the Titans' first possession of the third quarter. So he hasn't touched the ball at all. Detroit's been playing defense. This is not a wall punt return, by the way. I think there's a couple of defensive tackles on the field. I think it's Reeder and McNeil. So I'm not exactly sure, what those guys are doing on the field, other than the fact that it's 4th and 2. So the Lions, were anticipating fake, or the possibility of a fake or a run concept. So there's no real punt return that's set up here. You got multiple defenders on the field still. Joseph, Arnold, defensive end. Off screen here in a moment, you'll see McNeil and Reeder show up just to celebrate and make sure they don't touch the punter. Let Kalif Raymond deal with it. I'm not criticizing those guys for not hustling. I'm just saying when you end up with defense on the field, I think it's 4th and 2, something like that, you will get these somewhat anomalous reactions by guys. And in this case, clearly you've lost up top here against the gunner who is free. Raymond just happens to make the catch, make him miss, and the second guy miss, and it's pretty much over at this point. So the first punt return, the big one, I think, for 64 yards. Some nice design. Credit to the coaching staff for creating that space, creating the leverage here with starting level defenders on the field. This is just Kalif Raymond making people miss and then getting vertical. I didn't like the announcer saying that every punt returner needs to get vertical on each return. That's not true. As you can see from the wall concept that I showed you, sometimes you want to get here to the wall, and there's not a wall being set up on this particular play. This is just, if you ask me, man blocking with one or two guys for the Titans that have one, and then unfortunately for them, were unable to make the tackle. If you enjoy special teams breakdowns, let me know. I'm really not interested in breaking down kick return stuff because I think the whole concept stinks, to be real with you, and I don't think it's been dynamic at all for the most part this year. Absent a couple of returns, we're not seeing people with, quote, creative return schemes at all because of the locked-in nature that guys can't move. I think that if they want to make it exciting, they should let one or two players move for the return team and or for the kickoff team. I don't know how they make that happen. I feel like at that point you're getting into something that's really artificial and inauthentic, which is what I think the dynamic kickoff is anyway. So I will talk about the special teams a little bit more in a video that I'll put out Monday night or perhaps Tuesday morning about the Lions offense or Lions team in general, how they handle the Titans. And really, when you have a deep roster, when you have a team of really good backup players, when they get on the field on special teams against bad teams, teams that aren't coached well, number one, number two, perhaps aren't motivated, then you have an opportunity to exacerbate or widen the differential between you. And it was already a wide gap between the Detroit Lions and the Titans on Sunday. Anyway, the special teams just made it an even bigger differential. Kalif Raymond was a huge part of that, as you see. The second punt return that I showed you, 90-yarder for a score. He basically did that work himself. The first one, the wall, I think was a little bit more coordination and scheme execution by the guys on the Lions half of the football. But he's having an impact across the board, particularly on third downs in the passing game. When Jameson Williams comes back, do I think Kalif Raymond should still get some of those reps, those opportunities? Absolutely. He's taking advantage of them. If you can find a matchup that's in his favor, why not? That's why you want 3 or 4 or 5 good receivers. And in my opinion, the Lions have just that. Tim Patrick is a part of that equation as well. I appreciate you guys' time, man. If you enjoyed this film study video, this look at Kalif Raymond's impact in Week 8 against the Titans, but also looking back to Week 7, the road win against the Vikings, and Week 1 against the Rams, the reverse that really opened him up and started the thought in my mind that he might be Detroit's new microwave, then please consider grabbing a link to this video, sharing it out on social media to help this content get more reach. If you don't know, likes and comments drive the video to get exposed to new audiences. So please consider commenting down below if you haven't done so already to help this video get more reach as well. Appreciate you guys' time.